Green Lantern number 22 is written by Jeremy Adams with art by Zermanico, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters by Dave Sharp. The title of this issue is Highway to Hell. Hector Hammond is attacking Hal, Carol, and Dove with the full force of his newly returned powers, throwing trucks and fighter jets through the air like missiles. So Carol returns the favor and hits him with a construct train. Hector calls for backup in the form of the mind-controlled staff of the D.E.O, so the heroes respond with some teamwork of their own. Dove produces a flash of light as a distraction while Hal launches Carol behind Hector so she can grab him and overwhelm his mind with feelings of love. While Hector is off balance, Hal casually walks up and punches him out, ending the fight and freeing the minds of the D.E.O. Director Bones immediately tries to assert his authority, scolding the Lanterns for breaking into a government facility and causing so much damage. And then, Hal does something that I've thought about for a long time. He pulls rank. Hal explains that as a member of the Green Lantern Corps assigned to Sector 2814, which Earth is in, he has authority above and beyond anything that Director Bones could ever hope to achieve, and then puts Bones in his place by threatening to shut down the D.E.O. permanently. Now, this is both incredibly cool and obscenely dangerous. As we've talked about before, nobody ever asked for or agreed to the Guardians and the Green Lantern Corps having this kind of authority over the rest of the universe. The Guardians just decided to have it, and there wasn't anybody to stop them. The fact that Hal Jordan can just show up and start bossing around the United States government is terrifying, especially when you think about the fact that every Green Lantern has the authority to do this on every world in every sector they patrol. We're clearly not supposed to think about it this way, since Hal and the rest of the Green Lanterns are altruistic heroes. But to that I'd say, remember Zero Hour? Hal thought he was doing the right thing there too. All for the greater good. I'm sure Jeremy Adams knew on some level how bad this could look, which is why we got a line about the US government signing some treaty with the Green Lantern Corps pertaining to how alien visitors are handled. Still, this is a very satisfying scene on the surface that becomes chilling when you think about it for a moment. But, hero that he is, Hal really only intended to make Director Bones nervous enough to give Hal what he wanted. A literal key to hell. Hal meets up with Zariel and the Phantom Stranger at St. Patrick's Purgatory. This is a real place in Ireland, and according to legend, it contains an entrance to the underworld. Hal unlocks the supernatural doorway, and the three dive headfirst into hell. Hal's team reaches the depths of hell, confident that what they seek is close by, when suddenly a figure approaches from the darkness. Zariel and the Phantom Stranger stand ready to fight off the worst horrors imaginable, but nothing could prepare them for what Hal saw as the figure stepped into the light. It's Nort! For some reason, he's in hell, though he doesn't seem too bothered by it. Mostly he just seems glad to finally have some company. And at this point, I have to mention the fact that we don't even know why Hal wanted to go to hell. Does this have to do with finding the source energy? Does someone who's dead have it? Will Nort just randomly have a ball of it in his pocket? This is so weird. While Hal's team is in hell, Kyle's team is in space, raiding a Reach facility hoping to find resources they need to build some central batteries. Superboy is keeping watch while Odyssey frees a human that's been restrained in the lab. This is Dan Garrett, the original Blue Beetle from the 1930s. And before anyone can ask any follow-up questions, the Reach show up to see who's been touching their stuff. Kyle and Connor fly off to buy Odyssey time to escape with Dan. I love Kyle's commitment to the bit, spending this entire fight only using constructs of bug spray and fly swatters. The Reach army is too big, and there's no way Odyssey and Dan can make it to the ship. So Dan Garrett does something that he doesn't really seem to want to do. He reaches out and activates a scarab, letting its nanotech wash over him in a way that looks very gross and painful and reminds me of a symbiote over in Marvel. He then joins Superboy and Kyle on the battlefield as the Silver Scarab, in a costume that's an homage to what he wore in the Golden Age. It's also worth noting that he didn't just grab a random scarab, he knew its name was Kaji Shah. His original scarab, which is now used by the current Blue Beetle Jaime Reyes, is named Kaji Da. Maybe this particular scarab was used in tests being performed on him by the Reach. The name Silver Scarab isn't new, though I don't think Dan Garrett has ever used it before. Silver Scarab used to be the superhero identity of Hector Hall, the son of some version of Hawkman and Hawkgirl, who was later reincarnated as the son of Hawk and Dove, and then became Dr. Fate during the Jeff Johns run of JSA. I'll admit that it does make way more sense to give the Silver Scarab name to someone in the Blue Beetle family. Though I wonder how old Dan Garrett is supposed to be at this point, since he should really be a contemporary of Alan Scott and the rest of the Golden Age heroes. Again, so many questions. And yeah, most of them can probably be answered by the fact that he was literally abducted by aliens and experimented on. I'm just glad to have him around, honestly. It's kind of impressive how much of the larger DC universe Jeremy Adams incorporated into this issue without it feeling intrusive or out of place. We've got Hal, Carol, and Kyle like you'd expect, but then there's Dove, Superboy, Zariel, the Phantom Stranger, Director Bones and the D.E.O, and now Dan Garrett and the Silver Scarab. It feels like the fun factor of this book has increased along with the number of guest characters. Let's be real here, we all know that I'm usually pretty down on this book. In general, I find the Jeremy Adams run to be frustrating more often than not. That said, I always make sure to highlight what I feel are the good parts, and this issue, I think this is my favorite issue of his run so far. I think it's easily one of the best and the most enjoyable issues of Green Lantern he's ever written, and I think that has a lot to do with how much fun Jeremy Adams clearly has writing the DC universe. I think the fight against Hector is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. Is the way this fight played out practical or efficient? No. Hal could have made that exact same distraction without Dove's help, and Carol could have gotten behind Hector without Hal's help, but the fact that they did it this way is more fun. And that's what this issue is all about. More than with any of the United Planets stuff or the Starbreaker stuff, this issue is an example of Jeremy Adams having fun with Green Lantern as a part of the DC universe. This is where he shines as a writer, when he can embrace and celebrate what's cool, silly, and fun about superheroes. My greatest hope is that Jeremy Adams can bring this same energy to every issue from here on out. So that's Green Lantern number 23. Now I want to hear what you think. Were you as shocked as I was to see Dan Garrett pop up? Does it concern you that Green Lanterns have so much authority? What exactly did Nort do to end up in hell? Tell me all about it in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you want more analysis like this on future issues, and follow me on Blue Sky if you want occasional thoughtful commentary on comics. Until then, thank you for taking the time to watch. My name is Dan. We'll talk again soon.